2018's 2014. And of course, I want to tell you that the chemtrails that they have been doing all across America and around the whole entire globe are all rigged to modify weather. Matter of fact, they bragged about it at the UN summit and also at the Bilderberg meeting. And also bragged about it also in C-SPAN, and even in Congress they were talking about it. And that's why they do believe that California has been experiencing unusual long period of dry spells and droughts in that area, and why they've been having such high electric costs and dry lands and dryness and killing of crops and so forth, because of large part in weather modification due in part to chemtrailing. As they sprinkle it and they have modified it in fuels all across America and all around the world to help modify the weather patterns overhead. As you were told in fifth grade science that there is a sea that is above us, which is our atmosphere, and if you modify the weather by putting things in there like ammonia phosphate, mercury, silver, iodine, and radioactive stuff, that'll definitely interrupt or change weather patterns all across the globe. And that's why a lot of strange weather has been happening, because a lot of governments are trying to play like they're God. Or there's one government working under the United States that's going around all over the world implementing these things to modify or change weather patterns all across the globe. And which they are not God, because they're failing miserably. That's what's causing all this cataclysm of weather. Then they try to use that and say, oh, this is global warming. This is all the new global warming, as you hear about on the news. Oh, this is global warming. All this rain we're having, all this coldness is global warming. Well, if it's global warming, why is it so cold outside? Why are we having record temperature all over the world in different places? It's cold. Global warming is what warms things up. It's not what cools things down. And the reason why it's getting cold is because there's a lot of things darkening our atmosphere to make the sun not be able to hit the earth. And it's reflecting a lot of the rays away from the earth, which is making the whole atmosphere cooler. And we do believe that has a lot to do with all the weather modification things that they're doing with the chemtrailing and other things that they've been doing that we don't know about, because they think that they're God when really they're not God, which is going to end up messing up the whole global climate. See, as we all know in science, there's a big stream called the jet stream. You call it the southern jet and you call it the northern jet. Those things converge, and that's what creates weather patterns all across the globe. Scientists know this. This is just simple, basic fifth grade science in science class. And, basically what happens is that's where weather is formed in the stratosphere. And so when you dump, things like silver, mercury, aluminum phosphate, and other chemicals that are illegal that shouldn't be dumped in there, and high things of aluminum, as we just said, and ammonia, iodine, and things like that, that's what's been reported in a lot of these areas all across the world, including here in Virginia, in our atmosphere that's a lot higher than what the normal rate should be. So what they're doing is trying to cool down the earth and trying to change global weather to suit their things. They think they're trying to do this, like I said, behind a plot to kill everything, to drive out the business. They outsource the work. They move that overseas so that people here would not be able to do jobs like in textiles or manufacturing, because most of that jobs are not here in America anymore. They are overseas, because the globalists and other fractions and interests have moved them over in other countries. So not just to get a tax break, but so that they can make more money at their expense and make more profits. And that's all it was mainly about. And of course, why that happened, they're losing a lot more business and losing profits, because over time they will lose profits because they won't have the people to work for them that were here in America that were working at these manufactories and textile firms and car dealerships and so forth, where the cars were manufactured, and electronic companies that have been now all moved overseas and are private, federally owned, federally observed, even though they want to say it's private, is been insolvent for about 40 years now. So the thing is, if a lot of people don't know that, you need to come up out of a rock if that's where you've been all this time, or you've been in denial or in video game or football land, and come out of that and really know what's really going on truthfully with your government. Obama says, oh, you'll be able to work less. What does that mean? That you'll have to work 2 and 3 jobs to make the money of one job. And so you'll have more free time to do whatever you want. No, it's because you'll be working. You won't have free time. You won't even see the light of day. All you'll do is pass out when you get home because you'll be so tired because of working 2 and 3 jobs. This is the kind of life where Obama says that your time will go down. The reason why your hours will go down for what you in your take home will go down is because the employees can't afford to pay these higher insurance improvements, so they have to cut your work hours in half to be able to pay what the government requires. If they have over 10 employees, there's a whole lot of regulations that get slapped on any business that's 10 or more employees. And of course, my company's small. My business is very small, so therefore we don't have a lot of those regulations. So, like a lot of these big people do, because the reason is because that's what they're trying to do, is bankrupt the entrepreneur spirit in America. I really do believe that's all part of the takeover process. And then they they open up all the borders, and just like Reagan said, a country without borders is not a country. And that's what Obama is doing, is open up all the borders all over America to bring in all these aliens in. I said aliens. They don't like the word, but they are aliens. If they're not American and they're not following our laws and they're not respecting our laws, then that's what they are. And, of course, a lot of them are not, because they're told all this stuff in immigration class once they get citizenship. But a lot of them don't believe that, because they don't see, the aliens even know coming over here, when they go through all that propaganda of being trained to know that we're American, that's the greatest country in the world, which it still is in a lot of ways. A lot of aliens come over here and don't see that, because they realize that that's all been a lie and fed to them, spoon-fed to them as a lie. It's like you want a lot of people in school to believe that America's good, but under this government of what it is today, and under the current administration that's in here, that keeps doing acts of treason and all kinds of felony crimes, by the fistload and all these executive orders. Executive orders, I'm the dictator, Obama. I'm going to write it with my pen any way I want. Well, I can do whatever I want, even around without a Congress's approval. So that's what Obama does. And of course, that's, the dictator Obama, his way of doing that. And of course, that's all illegal according to the Constitution, which he does not follow. He wants to trying to overtrod that and come up with these other laws. And the reason why a lot of our prosperity and our resources and our innovation has gone way downhill is because when we signed on to this global objective, we've lost the blessing from God, and we've lost a lot of our potential because of that. And that's all part of the takeover plan, strategy. Let's get people cutting their hours. Let's move the jobs overseas. Let's dry out land so the farming industries in the country where they do farms will not be able to survive, so that Monsanto's can buy out the property and could buy it on pennies on the dollar, and those people could go bankrupt. We don't care. We don't give a flying, hoochie. And we're going to just do whatever we want, according to the globalist objectives, as they admitted boastfully in their books and writings, and even at the Bilderberg and even at the GM climate summits, both over there in Ireland that they had this year, and also over in other parts of the world at secret locations. And of course, a lot of they think we don't know what they do. We know everything they do. But the thing is, we know what they're doing. So the thing is, you need to know the big picture. There's a lot more to it than just weather modification. It's also, stripping down the middle class to where there's no middle class. There's the rich and everybody else. That's their new motto. There's no middle class. There's no poor. There's the rich, and then everybody else is the poor. The new poor. The new middle class will be where people are making below minimum wage, because that's what they've done in all these other countries where they have enacted global law in these countries, whereas martial law has been put into place. The new minimum wage will be $4 or $5 an hour, and even if you're making 10 something an hour, even with all the cost of inflation, it'll be just like you're only making $3 or $4 an hour. So the new middle class will be where you make $4,000 to $9,000 a year, instead of what the current rates are, $50,000 to $60,000 a year. The new middle class will be that, and everyone else will be just plain dirt poor. And meanwhile, food stamps and all tends to go over 1 million people now. Food stamps that are on government assistance. A lot of people are on government assistance. It's at record numbers, and the unemployment rate is not going down like we told you. It's just a lot of people have given up and stopped looking for work, and so simply they're just not being counted in the system. So therefore, unemployment rate has really gone down. So that's good. That's a good sign for our economy. No, they're just simply not counting those people because those people have stopped working, so they fall through the cracks, as they say, and they're not really counting that, so they're not really being dishonest. So it just kind of holds up the economy and makes it look better than what it really is. And of course, there's predictions that the stock market might be reduced by 20 to 30% in the upcoming 6 months to the next couple years. So therefore, there's a big bubble getting ready to pop on Wall Street, which is going to cost people millions and sometimes trillions. So be looking out for that, because when that happens, the economy is really going to be in a tailspin, and a lot of prices are going to get a lot higher than what you've ever seen in everything. So be looking out for that like we warned you. So I hope you are preparing, folks, because we are getting ready to go into a horrible, horrific time. And it's all because the globalists are trying to take over this country. But we can stop this. This all sounds horrible, but this all can be stopped if we simply say no to all these things. And we simply say, we speak out at meetings, and we sue local towns. And we do these things because we don't want people coming in here. We don't want the redcoats coming in here like they did before. We set them back in a box. That's what we need to do today. And we need to stand up and do the right thing. A lot of, what the government propaganda machine wants to tell us, that everybody that's human, instead of saying great, they say, no, they're useless and that you can't do good things. And then when people hear about it, the new vibe is that there's no way you can do those things. It's not possible. There's no way. Because it's not possible, because I don't believe you did it. Even though you did do it, because nobody wants to really believe in good things, wholesome things that people really can do. Because the government says that anything that somebody does that's good is really the new evil. And of course, they say it's all trendy to have less hours. It's all trendy to lose your house. It's all trendy to go on the government's, nipple and suck on it. It's all trendy instead of being an entrepreneur and working for yourself. And having an American dream. That's what it's all about. That's what they don't think that's trendy. It's okay to lose all that stuff. That's the new trendy, which is really the lie from hell that was sold to us by Obama and his cronies. So if you believe that stuff, that's the way our country is going. This is in the news, monitoring, looking out for our country and looking out for your best of interests. I'm Michael DeSilvas reporting for InfoWars for February the 18th, 2014. I'll shoot up another update tomorrow. See you tomorrow with another update. Bye for now. Stay tuned and be aware and be in the know, because information equals power, and information also equals freedom. Remember, if you don't use your freedoms, you will lose them. See ya. Remember to subscribe down below. Low. Look out. Subscribe. See ya.